I used to be really indebted or involved in the community, kind of slipped away for a bit, but I'm back today, making my appearance today.
The comeback tour. And Shorter Ace locking in the Malphite. I'm interested to see if that's actually going to be a top Malphite or a jungle Malphite. I think he might play it in the jungle. His Lee Sin last game gets banned out here. It was very, very good. He actually played it correctly, which, I mean, whenever you get rolling with a Lee Sin, snowballing like that, I mean, always great things can come from that. And Shorter Ace was in all the key team fights. He had they had teleport running, so they had Vertabreaker coming down from the top, coming in here, and doing some serious work. He actually turned a lot of team fights to the bottom lane and really snowballed that for this team. Looks like Griffle coming back here. Griffle, Kuniv. So Kuniv actually picking up. So it's kind of funny because they ban out Lee Sin, but at the same time, they knew Shorter Ace was at the top, so Shorter Ace was probably going to take Lee Sin themselves. But Kuniv loves Lee Sin.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised at that. I was like looking like, oh, this is interesting, because I actually had a little chat with Kuniv. I remember Kuniv from a play once, one in-house scrim.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I just mentioned it. Oh yeah, and he showed me his match history. Like, yep, I played Lee Sin in my past 2 games. And take a look at my match history. He's like 8-1, 7-1, no big deal. So it was very interesting to see Lee Sin banned. But I can see if Blue Team had first pick, and last game he performed really well, then I can see that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, I have to expect that's why they took the pick in. And a lot of these teams, some of these players know each other, but at the same time, some of them are just like, hey, I'm just going to look at the match histories really quickly, and that's where bans are going to come from. Or they'll just side with some generic bans.
And like the typical Nunu, Shen, Ezreal, don't want to deal with any of them. So yeah, makes sense. Alistar. Interesting,
actually, seeing Tank that stuff. They went away from the Graves. The Graves kind of play. I don't know if he just doesn't necessarily is fully into the whole Graves play, or if he feels like Tristan's just a better matchup to deal with this Corki and Leona lane they're going to go against. But I'm interested to see Tristana play. I don't think I've seen Tristana played yet so far this tournament. It's mainly been Graves, Corki, or Ezreal. The trifecta. And if Vertabreaker takes Shyvana, that'd be actually kind of interesting. I'm interested to see if they would actually keep it top lane, or if they would actually throw that in the jungle. They have a lot of options, which is good, but they're definitely picking right now to counter Cho'Gath, whatever they do. And if Marnold goes Gragas, actually that'd be pretty cool, because Marnold, a.k.a. no heals for you, a.k.a. I'm Black Y'all normally.
Oh, okay.
He actually played a really stellar Gragas to the point where I think Highwind was wondering to himself, he was like, is that actually Marnold playing? I have to confirm. I had to look over there. He landed some serious stuff, so... Should be. I don't know. I'm really excited for this game. Both teams have actually been playing so solid that it's kind of funny, because the Judgment Pool, I've seen some of the teams, at least the winning team for Judgment Pool 1, and now some of these teams, especially the team on the left, the Vertabreaker team, after that last game, they almost have teams that could compete against some of these Fives teams. I mean, essentially, the GG Ice Griffle team that we see over here on the right beat the Fives team of Game Clocks almost like straight up in a match. It was basically the Game Clocks team plus one other 1700 AD player, that's still a really good team, and they were able to take a game off of them. Like, who knows if they could take a best of 3 really against the full team. But the fact that this kind of thrown together team was able to play well enough to actually take a game off them, pretty cool to see.
So there actually is a switch. Malphite is not going to be in the jungle. Going to be a top laner.
Okay.
Kind of interesting, I think, with the Shyvana. Like, I hardly see a Shyvana top laner anymore. The last time I saw was what, like Kiev probably?
Yeah. Back in the day.
Back in the day.
It was like, oh, we're not going to play our jungle? Well, we're playing our top.
And so, what do you think of these teams like right now at this point in time?
I like both the teams. I like a lot of the initiation potential for the blue team as I'm looking at it. I like I actually think both teams are pretty even overall, how they're built. The top lane's kind of like going to be a sad lane just to watch, because they're just going to be like, I'm beefy too. We're going to hit each other. We're going to back off. It's going to be a day, call it. But the rest of the teams, the rest of the matchups are pretty good. I like them. Woolen actually plays a pretty good Ryze.
Yeah.
And Ryze is obviously amazing late game. So is Gragas, but Gragas is a little bit more reliant on skill shots. Not that you're ever going to miss explosive casts with the barrels and stuff like that too. If you can mitigate at least a little bit of that damage, Ryze is just better. He's the sustained damage guy. He's not the just upfront boom, there goes all your life. He's just like, I'm just going to constantly deal damage in a team fight, and I'm going to be ridiculously tanky. The key.
Oh, go ahead.
I think one of the keys is going to be this. The speedy jungler matchup. Like, this is like the old jungle matchup we saw so long ago. Like the Mundo Shyvana, the 2.0s, if you will, of the old Udyr Phoenix jungle, and then Shyvana got played heavily. Then Mundo got played heavily because
everybody was like, oh, Mundo's a good jungler all of a sudden.
Yeah, we can trade. We can trade with people in the jungle really, really well, and we can do these cool tricks where we use our cleavers to like pull red buff and all sorts of fun stuff. So it's gonna be interesting to see that old guard of junglers, because we went from that to from that to tanky junglers like Nautilus and stuff like that. And now we're almost kind of like making like another circle back around to these kind of junglers, just because then what came out was, instead of just the tanky junglers, then it was like mobility boots and stuff like that. But then people were like, well, I guess we can still go mobility boots, but then there's also these fast junglers that still have lots of mobility still through their abilities like burnout and stuff like that. So kind of interested to see how the meta constantly shifts itself.
Very, very true. I also want to comment that, like, I love how Gragas is being played now.
Yes.
I used to main Gragas way back when I first met the Raise Your Weapon Media folks.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I'm still pretty good with Gragas, but I really like how he's come back into popularity, and everyone's like, oh yeah, by the way, Gragas is really, really good now.
Yeah. Thanks to Wild Turtle and some other players.
Wild Turtle in what was that tournament with Wild Turtle? He subbed for like.
I think it was like was it like a face? Was it Face Off? Was it like?
I think so.
Was it MLG like Arena or something like that? I can't quite remember the term, but I remember that he actually subbed in. It was a sub for a team and played really, really well for his team, and
of course, like the Skara plays in their poke comps.
Yeah.
In any regionals, so it's very, very exciting. Like, I love Gragas. I feel like
he's a lot of fun.
Yes.
He's a fun champion, has a lot of mobility. His kind of weird quirk as far as mid AP champions go, though, is like his spells are ranged, but he himself is actually like a melee mage champion, so he doesn't quite have the auto attack harass or anything like that, but he has a lot of sustain through a lot of his other abilities. So it looks like we are going to get set up here. Yeah, I already got the...
Great.
We are good to go. Unless it loads in the bottom right corner. It's okay. I'll fix that. Oh, there we are.
Hey.
Oh.
Hello.
We are not the help, though, but you can follow him on Twitter.
But please do. He's a great guy.
Yes, he is. Dom, a.k.a. The Help. You should have seen him yesterday. If you look in our archives or on our YouTube later, youtube.com/RaiseYourWeaponMedia, you can check out a lot of our cool stuff. But we're actually going to hop in to some action here really shortly.
Yep. Sweet.
And bam, like magic.
Cool.
We are back.
So pings go down. Both of them are kind of guarding the red buffs, or planning to. Actually, I don't know. I don't want to say anymore. Because like pinging different locations. Probably like, should we go here? No, let's go.
Let's go. Let's ping everywhere.
That way. And it looks like there's going to be
there's going to be a nice reunion down here in the bottom lane.
For,
they're going to back out. Yeah, they're scattering. They know what's going down. Grog's going to put out a little bit of that damage. Rupture, not going to land. That would have been key, but we're going to see it. We're going to see some engagement.
Grog is exhausted here. Grog has to flash out, but first blood goes down to Leona, surprisingly. Short Race getting exhausted. Short Race does not make it out, but neither does Mundo.
They're trying to turn this around, but they're not doing enough damage, but they finally get maybe Corky.
Griffin.
Corky! And Griffin's going to live. Griffin's going to live. No way. He's going to get out of here. Oh, wow. And so is... I forgot the clap. But Vertabreaker.
Okay. So great level 1 team fight for Red Team.
And that's what I love about the... I mean, this is kind of the part I love about the level 1 team fight in League of Legends. It's so unpredictable, so chaotic. But a lot of plays can be made if you can outthink your opponent, outplay your opponent. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities there. So it's actually really exciting to see plays like that too. But the other part is it sucks when you go down 2 kills and depend on how it happens. I mean, the first game we casted of Judgment Pool 1 yesterday in the semifinals, I believe, or actually it was the 5v5 game, Altec for the VVV team essentially got 2 kills and double buff.
Wow.
At level 1. So it's like at that point you're like, okay, so we gave the best AD player here in the entire tournament double buff and 2 kills. This is probably not going to go well for our bottom lane.
Very true. So very interesting. Like I always love pointing this out because you know, the importance of warding. Like I love how everyone's like, oh yeah, by the way, we should really start warding. Everyone, you know, after the first split team fight. Oh.
Ooh. Yeah, this is kind of how it's gonna go for Tank That stuff. They're going to be in a lot of trouble just because the nature of a quirky Leona bot lane that's ahead with those stuns, like if they catch any part of them, the fact that they're ahead now, it's going to be just lights out for Tank That. So Tank That's going to have to be really, really careful as bottom lane. And this top lane, they're just going to hug each other.
Yep.
We don't need to watch the top lane at this point. I'm sure something will happen up there eventually. Oh, they're still hugging.
They're still like, well, let's trade a bit. Malphite's low on mana, though. It's like, okay, what am I going to do now?
Cry deeply inside. So there was the invade there. Shyvana has both her buffs, though. So after that huge team fight, everybody was so low or dead that no buffs were actually stolen. So, I mean, overall, it was just kill advantage, actually, for the red team.
So really nice. Ryze gets blue buff, and like the thing about Ryze is it's really hard to play against real push champions. Like Gragas can really push that lane up. Kind of like my gripe with playing Ryze, which is why I didn't understand like when people say, "Oh, Ryze kind of counters Morgana." Morgana's one of those push champions. It's the same thing with Gragas.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing about Ryze against Morgana early is that Morgana doesn't really start until she gets enough points into her Tormented Soil. She doesn't like reliably push hard enough, so you can kind of like sustain through it, just a lot more steady auto attacking and keeping your lane pushed that way. But he can also be really harass heavy against her and actually blow through her black shield, do a lot of stuff like that. So. The matchup can be played correctly, but again, any champion that naturally really pushes on Ryze or pokes on Ryze, he kind of has a hard time with. You know, Cassiopeia, Xerath, champions like that. Although Xerath, I haven't seen a Xerath played in so long. I always thought he was gonna make some sort of crash on the scene. Like he was gonna come into the scene, someone's gonna had figured him out, and he's gonna wreak havoc. But he's never really quite come into the fold.
I mean, yeah, like I remember when Malphite wasn't really played. And then I was talking to TK Rain.
Yeah.
I was casting with TK Rain once, and he was like, Malphite made his appearance when people realized how strong Jax still was. And that's when, like, who counters Jax? Malphite.
Yeah.
Let's pick Malphite now. And now he's just like a solid pick.
Well, I think the other big point that made him a solid pick for his team, and we might have a 3-on-3 action out here, but Shyvana bolting out is Kunev looks like he's going to be patient for this one.
And he's going to move into the brush, and
they know they have ward control. They have this pink ward right here. That is good for them. This need to have to bait them in, but I think they're going to play so cautious right now, though. I don't know if they're actually going to be able to catch us out. Kunev's going to have to move along.
Oh.
He's juking himself.
He's second guessing.
Yeah.
They did see Shyvana with that ward near Wraith, so they're thinking like, okay, well Shyvana's not down here, but they probably realized exactly what Pato was saying. Like, let's just play. They're going to play passive. They're losing this lane. They're not going to push up against us.
Yeah, I mean, they're Leona all the way from, or a Leona combo away from GG Ice from getting just torn apart. And this is kind of like the classic Leona lane, simply because Gatling Gun auto procs the passive of Leona, which makes it really, really easy. Otherwise, other champions, you actually have to space it, where like a lot of champions, if you look at them, there's the catch, but will they be able to follow up? I don't think he will be. He's going to be stunned and pushed out of this, and Griffle needs to be really, really careful. He actually is ignited. Will he be able to survive this? He's just going to get barely low and is going to survive on that last tick.
Health.
That one more tick, and he was a goner. So good comeback here in this bottom lane, actually putting some damage on him. But the bad news is this means that there's going to be some buying going on for Griffle, and he's going to come back to lane. And Tristana's still sitting on boots in 2 pots. And
Griffle buys that phage, that early phage with a Vamp Scepter. It's just going to be difficult.
It's going to be a pain in the butt, especially if a phage procs. If he gets a phage proc, going to be a lot of trouble. Looks like Ryze actually coming up in this top lane. I feel like knows that Gragas might have come up here, and here we're going to have some action. Kunev getting blown away. Akira trying to dip down low. trying to get their rupture off, and now Rise is here. If Wooly is able to get something off on Vertabreaker, they probably have a kill in this lane, but Kunev taking a lot of damage here. He is going to be able to get out Wooly getting off his shackle, but there's nothing to follow up there. Grog is too tanky underneath the turret. But great job of them diving, getting that kill, and not getting picked off from that.
It was good on Akira, I believe, just flashed out there. Like,
yeah.
Cho'Gath realized, like, I am not going to live this. I am not going to survive this tower. So might as well flash out, de-aggro the tower. So it was really good understanding of, like, the numbers on that one. Yeah,
and it was actually a good job of Wallenegger to rotate up there. And, you know, it could have been also, I mean, I'm not in their communication, but it could have been like, hey, Wallenegger probably said, hey, you know, Grog is missing, he went top. And he as he was following up, his teammates probably said, hey, you know, I'm going to try to bait this out. We have a 3v2 here, and it ended up paying off for them.
What is Wallenegger's elo? Isn't he like 1380 or something?
Yeah, I think he's like a 1300, 1400 player.
It's really surprising because I was actually spectating from behind those computers, like on Netty's team.
Yeah.
Or Netty and Kunev yesterday in Judgment Pool 1.
Yeah.
And he's pretty good. Like, he has really good map awareness.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good indicator of, like, elo. Like, once your elo gets higher, like, your map awareness is just way better. So he has really good map awareness. Like, he knows, he saw Gragas rotating up, and Gragas, albeit, come on, he's Gragas, he's fast. So
yeah.
when niggas like,
he
all right,
hops over
I'm
walls.
just slow rise, you know, let me just walk over. And surprisingly, Malphite's down here. I'm not sure why. That was kind of interesting. So pings go down on this Rise in middle. Explosive cast goes down on Rise. Body slam goes down.
Level 6 is up for Malphite.
And
will he be able to follow us up? He does have his ult, but I don't even think they need it at this point.
Oh, and a nice juke!
I don't think he's not going to be able to get out of this. No, but Gragas blows his flash, so I guess small victory. Small victory. Another thing to point out, too, for all these teams is they should be communicating summoner spells. And looking at there's a lot of flashes burned, and targets that would be susceptible, especially are Tristana, Corki. They have their built-in jump escapes, but they don't have a flash on top of that. Vertabreaker, or actually Akira in the top lane, actually could be in a little bit of trouble with the flash down if they get a good gank off up there. Cho'Gath isn't completely immune to damage.
And Cho'Gath
there it is.
Shaban ulted here.
On cue.
Joss goes down. Cho'Gath has no flash. Will Cho'Gath make it out? No, and Malphite ult goes down. Surely Cho'Gath is going to go down here.
Yeah, maybe with a flash able to do it, but they recognized that and said, hey, you know what? Here we go, kill. And whenever your flash is down, when you're ever playing in a tournament where you know you're playing against some really good players, you should be a lot more cautious just simply because those type of players are going to be looked at. GG Ice, Griffle, they're always going to be paying attention to their lanes and summoner spells. They're going to know if your exhaust is down, if they have the advantage there, if theirs is up, and they're going to try to take advantage of those moments. And this kind of ultimate burst matchup in the bottom lane is actually pretty fun to watch because both of these comps can do a lot of damage really quickly on their opponents. It's just how you layer your CC and who gets off their stuff first. The good news is if GG Ice does go on to tank that stuff, I've got the clap can actually dazzle Griffle in response to try to stifle a little bit of damage. The problem is, though, is that if you dazzle with Gatling Gun going on, Gatling Gun doesn't stop, so Gatling Gun can still proc a lot of that damage and still put out a lot of damage for Griffle. So it'll be interesting. That also comes into play, too. It's like when the dazzle hits, if Tristana actually backs off out of it or still takes the damage. Looking at both teams, we're looking at the warding. So blue has a lot of the mid. Bottom's not warded at all. Both of these teams pretty available. Taking that stuff, jumping away.
Oh, no,
just
but
in time they switch focus.
Teleporting down.
Oh, this is the key.
Griffle getting exhausted here.
Oh, great stun. Actually, he's going to protect Griffle, but he's not going to be able to get out of it. And now GG Ice running for his life. Turnaround actually wants to get a kill. He's a little bit greedy here. I don't think he's not going to get it.
Not going to get it.
He's not going to get it. Oh, that is brutal. That is brutal right now. Oh, but that teleport, I was gonna. I think we got distracted a little bit, but I was gonna mention that how big of a factor teleport has been in these judgment style formats. In coordinated teams, it can be really effective too. It looks like Kunev trying to deal out some damage here, but Vertabreaker.
Oh, but Wooly heading down, but Shoulder Ace is there to meet Malphite.
Yeah, it's good teamwork right there. But teleport, especially when you don't have. These aren't practice 5v5 teams, so there are some scenarios where you kind of almost form like your own little bubble in bottom lane. You don't quite pay attention to the fact that teleport might be up somewhere else in the map. You get in a team fight, you're like, okay, we can win this 2v2. It becomes a 3v2, and you're like, oh wow, we just completely lost.
Yeah. So it was a good play on Malphite, or good communication even, that, oh, they're getting aggressive down here, you know, they're really trying to 100 to 0 somebody. Malphite ulti will, you know, or Malphite will turn the tables on this one. And it was really unfortunate.
Oh, Kunev actually taking a lot of damage up here.
But Malphite does not have Ignite, so I feel like without other support from anybody else, Malphite could not have taken him alone. Like, maybe with Shyvana down, perhaps, but not really. And it looks like they're trying to counter something here, but nothing's up for red team.
Yeah, actually, there is wards here, so red team knows fully what's going on in their own jungle. They're not too worried about it. Although Akira could get caught out here, but Malphite's actually not going to be able to kill Cho'Gath by himself. And it looks like Tristana's going back here. Tristana has a BF sword, buying up a Vampiric Scepter, going in for that Bloodthirster. Tark is alone, though, so if Griffle and GG Ice, if they could catch anything on this, looks like they're just going to back off here after pushing up this lane. They could make some plays, but...
Griffle, or GG Ice might be... No. I saw them backing up.
Yeah.
I was going to say that when I really love it when supports freeze my bottom lane for me, and I was like, maybe Tarek will do this, and then I realized that, you know, GG Ice is not going to... Did that just happen? Sorry, I just saw Gragas ulti the Wraith camp.
Hey, it's a low cooldown. Maybe,
it is low cooldown. Maybe you wanted that blue
yeah.
Wraith really badly.
Yeah. It's one way. If you're not sure...
Oh, and an exhaust goes down on Tristana here? Oh, did I just imagine that? I could have sworn... I'm just not... I just saw something, and I get really excited. I apologize for that.
It could have been. I don't know. I didn't see it. It was too fast.
Yeah.
You saw the Gragas barrel, though, so props. Props. So how are the lane matchups working out here? If we look at down at the GG Ice Griffle lane, Corki's sitting at 110 CS, so he actually has a pretty healthy advantage against Tristana right now. As we look elsewhere, mid's pretty even, top pretty even as well. Cho'Gath with a slight lead. But overall, you know, most of that bottom lane is the only one that's kind of going away, except for Tristana's been able to pick up some kills there. So it's kind of even out. If we look at their gold, Corki only has a 500 gold lead ahead of his opponent, so nothing too big for either team. They're neck and neck right here. 400 gold difference separates them, mostly in that AD carry. So I'm interested to see when one of these teams decides to make a play for an objective. But Blue has crazy warding going on right now. Look at that. Like, pretty much most of the bottom map, top map covered, all the entrances and exits for the Red's jungle pretty much covered up here, except for the very, very bottom of jungle. Meanwhile, Red only has their top jungle pretty much warded out. Finally, a ward going down at Dragon. But if anybody was to come through, try to make a play on them, they could. I mean, I don't see any reason why that couldn't be opened up at this point for the blue team if they want to come in here and try to take advantage of this warding that's going on for the red team. Pings for Dragon going down here.
So we could see something. Shyvana is in the top area of the jungle, so... Oh, and Shyvana does have that Oracles. That's...
Yeah, so Shyvana's going to try to make a play up there. Meanwhile, Red's going to get this Dragon for free, essentially. Blue, I like their response, though, here. Even if they did see this, they're saying, hey, you know what? Let's push our lanes. Let's not actually go over there and just feint a response. We're going to take our free farm, push our lanes, and take advantage of it that way, which is actually a smart way to do it. And the gank onto Akira, will they be able to protect him? Shorter Ace wants this. He actually tried to put out enough damage, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it. Will he rupture his feet? No, he won't. He's actually, Shorter Ace is going to pick it off. Meanwhile, a trade in the bottom lane. A lot of stuns going off, but the support is low, but Tristana is still very much up. Ignite coming in here, and they're going to be able to pick it off, and actually GG Ice missing up there, but able to pick off Tristana in the end, and the supports will walk away from each other.
So very interesting on Griffle's part. Griffle was like, you know what, I'm not going to survive, you know, trying to run away from Tristana here. I'm ignited, so I might as well turn and try to get as much damage as possible. And Gragas barely missing that. Barely landing that. So
that's actually kind of funny there. Kunev almost died to the blue buff. Then Rise was barely able to catch it in time to pull it away. He pulls it away, and Gragas just barely misses with his barrel. But if it would have tried to reset, Gragas would have hit it. So pretty lucky circumstance right there for the red team. Another big part about Gragas, too, is that explosive cast, because it's high damage, it's high burst damage, AoE, it has that knockback. You can reset team fights, you can pull people in, pick people off. But the other thing, too, is that's really low cooldown, so you can use it for scenarios like that just to clear Wraith camps or blue buffs. and make plays. And Gragas now is going to do some jukes, but he has his team up here in their own jungle. So if they pursue this, they might be in a little bit of trouble. Oh, they're setting up the trap. Kuhn's going to have to be careful. They know they've sniffed it out. They know not to go in there.
Corki was rotating upwards, and then they realized, like, this is a trap. Top's missing. We don't have as much wardage because of that Shyvana oracles, but there were like be careful pings. Oh, and it looks like okay. There were careful pings for Corki, and Corki Valkyries over the wall. But it looks like they're gonna dive bottom lane here. There's no ward coverage. A good flash stun by Tarek. Malphite's under. Oh, but Malphite ults himself and. Tank that stuff actually landing a jump on Griffle. GG Ice is now trying to fight for dear life, but this is a 5-man dive under the tower.
Yeah. Coordinated, no real way out of that. You would need a lot of wards to see that coming in. Kuhn's going to throw some cleavers just to harass a little bit. But he's not going to be able to stop this turret from going down. Although it looks like he is engaging in here. He wants to go for Tank that stuff. Tank that stuff's going to hop away. The rest of the team coming in here. Wollenega trying to deal damage, but he's getting bursted pretty heavily by Gragas.
Good flash to follow
wow.
suit. And they do take down Gragas. And recall pings go, or backup pings go for Rise.
That's one of those no escape scenarios right there for the enemy team. Not going to let him leave.
And they're trying to get this Tristana here. Tristana does have a rocket jump, decides not to use it. So they did trade. Sorry, I love the fighting game community. I love them.
Yeah, shout out to the fighting game community. They are here at EoS as well. We have League of Legends, and we have all the fun fight game stuff. They are super hype when their stuff is going down, which is what I really love about that group of players.
Like this whole time I've been spectating EoS, and whenever cheers go up for the fighting games, I'm always like, yes, I love these guys.
Like I'm sorry, but League of Legends is cool, but we never have a player yell, stand up, and then do like a victory lap around the room.
Exactly.
Like with people. Like, but fight game happens all the time. Someone's like super pumped up. This giant man running around doing a victory lap.
And Rupture goes down, and it looks like they're going to dive these two, but Malphite teleporting down here. Griffle using everything.
He's able to get it.
Even though exhausted. And Shyvana gets exhausted here. Will they get Shyvana? Shyvana uses burnout.
She should be able to get out of this. I thought the clap is pretty much dead. Griffle too deep right there. On that engagement, but GG Ice comes from behind. Great stun onto Shorter Ace. They're going to combo this right now. They're going to be able to take her down. They should definitely switch focus onto her. Malphite, Vertabreaker, way too tough here. Kuna's going to fall, and pretty good fight there. But I have to question a little. Like they stayed focused on Malphite a little bit too much in that team fight, where Malphite you just want to ignore till the dust settles. Like really, at this point, like he's way too tanky, and Gragas a little bit on the hunt here. And he's looking to try to pick off Akira, but he sees with that ward that Akira has left. So he's going to head back to lane. And he's going to have to meet up with his good buddy, Wollenega. Best friends. So overall, Team Gold, 200 gold apart. We're getting even closer now as this game goes along. Turrets finally falling for both teams. It looks like 2 turrets for the blue team that they've been able to pick up, and Red's been able to pick up 1 turret.
But they do have
in
that
the
one
top
dragon.
lane. Yes.
It should be coming up here in a little bit. I'm pretty sure, like 1 minute, I think.
Yeah, and Blue's wards actually around Dragon have just faded, so Red has all the vision control over there. So Blue's going to want to get over Blue's going to want to get over there, try to get some of that vision around Dragon so they can make sure they can control that next buff.
I do want to mention that I believe both junglers died that fight. They both had oracles. Do you know if Kunav definitely doesn't?
they both had oracles, yeah.
So Kunav doesn't have oracles anymore. I don't think Shyvana does either.
No, I don't think she does either.
She does not.
Yeah.
Okay.
This game going back and forth. I'm interested to see what just finally breaks this out, because there's no niche comp in these teams. Like before, it was like this kind of AOE get a hold of you late game versus like the poke split push team. But this one's very much like we have really similar teams to each other. So where it's all going to come down to positioning and team coordination, and if players get picked off. And then how well you're able to punish your opponents, because that's always the key. If you get an advantage, how quickly do you make the correct call, like to take Baron, to push turrets, to take inhibitors? And a lot of games I've played recently, I like Baron because it's easy to play with. It gives you some confidence, but it's so much trouble that lately I've been prioritizing turrets. Like if I can take turrets, especially if I can crack a base turret, like that is huge. Like I almost rather have that, expose and inhib. Because I'd rather almost 5v5 and inhib for an inhib with an advantage than actually try to 5v5 over something that's going to damage me like a Baron.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
That definitely makes sense.
Yeah. And if Baron gets stolen, then it's just all sorts of bad.
Yeah.
So. You can lose. You can just completely lose a game exactly like that. Shout out to Endless Integrity and all the crew. Everybody tune in here for Judgment Pool 2 Finals. Got some classic Judgment people in here. Kuniv, No Heals for You, a.k.a. I'm Black, y'all. Griffle, GG Ice from the Vancouver, BC. Vertabreaker's actually recently been in here. Shorter Ace, of course. Big, huge fan of this. He was actually so pumped for the tournament. We have a big fight right now. And Grog is definitely splitting the team fight there, but Shorter Ace is very, very low. He wants
getting Tarek.
And Griffle's not actually been focused now. It actually takes a little bit of damage, and now Red Team's just way too low here.
And Blue Team is hoping to turn this around.
Oh, if they're able to catch anyone, it's a kill.
Oh, and
take that stuff.
The rupture!
What happened
with the rupture there?
It didn't pop. I don't know what happened.
I have no idea.
Tank that stuff did not get popped up by that rupture. It was clearly over.
Wow.
Maybe Yordles are too small. It was in between the spikes. In between the spikes. That's clearly what happened there.
Riot.
Oh,
we need
man.
We need someone to. We should send that replay up. Like, really?
Yeah.
Well, no one died.
Yeah,
no one died in that exchange.
I think one of the, and here comes the punishment part of it, where they're going to take some turrets for it, which is I think. Looking at Blue Team as they're sitting right now, that Grog Assault was really, really good because I think if they stayed in the state they were, where everybody was bunched up, they were in trouble. But since everybody got spread out, it gave them the breathing room to just constantly do their damage. And they're so Blue Team right now. Just I feel like they're a little bit tankier overall with their builds. And Rise is still trying to catch up. He just finally has some resistance now. He's getting tanky, but Gragas' burst damage is going to be ahead of him right now. Rise that sustained damage. Type of champion, and they took so much damage that they were so low that they weren't able to actually stick around or defend anything. But it looks like they're actually pushed back on this outer tier. But Blue could probably defend this pretty easily. They have the clearing power, especially with Gragas, and that's going to be really, really key for them. Cho'Gath doing his thing, super tanky, really giant, gentleman-like.
Why does Cho'Gath have 2 legendary skins? Like it's one of those.
Because he's the cool guy. He's cooler than everybody else.
But very interesting here that just this little standoff in the mid lane. Gragas' ulti is up from last fight, which that's really nice. I really like the Gragas ulti just for that.
Yeah, all the ults up for pretty much both teams, I think, at this point. Yes, it is. So both teams have their full arsenal at hand. A Ignite or 2 down, Exhaust down for the red team. Same on the other side, pretty much everybody blowing their stuff, except for Shyvana actually does have an exhaust for their team. And Malphite actually has a teleport, so what we saw last time is Vertabreaker doing some split pushing action, but they're actually getting pushed pretty hard by the red team. They're going to lose this outer turret if red team really wants to make a commitment to this, but I think what we're going to see here is Vertabreaker actually pushing this top lane and keeping these lanes pushing, because one of the things as you get farther in these games is, the key to the game is get all your lanes pushing. If you can do that, then you have a huge advantage on the map, and especially when you want to try to push for objectives.
Very true. You can see it in the Asian teams where they just apply so much pressure to every lane.
Yeah, I mean, in their case, they play TF almost just as a lane control, and Short Ice really trying to pull off some cooldowns. And I don't know about that Grog Assault. It was pretty good. Oh, there we go. And Corki backing off out of this, trying to get his damage in, but he's still a little bit too deep. I think he can get picked off. He's still trying to back off and try to step through this, but he's not going to be able to do it. Griffle is going to go down. Wallenega is going to be followed up, and the rest of Blue Team following this up. Akira getting slowed here. Vertabreaker, I don't think he's going to... Oh, he is going to commit to this. He has Tristana back up. The Rupture comes in. Double kill, and I think that might be the game for the Blue Team. It's going to be close. Actually, no, that's not going to be the game. They're just going to get an inhib out of this, but... Very good opening up. What we saw, a very close game, is starting to slip towards the Blue Team with these engagements. They have a lot of confidence that Shorter H just running in there headlong and be like, let's fight this. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And eventually they turned, and you know what? Blue Team getting the better of it. The key is Griffle. I think he has to be the level he's engaging at now to stay in is pretty good, but he needs to be just a hair outside of that in order to make sure that he doesn't get caught up in a lot of the scrum. Because the problem is he's doing a good job trying to kite, but he's already lost 3/4 of his health by the time he does it. So if he could keep more of his life, then he would be far better off. And yeah, it looks like he is going to be heading for Infinity Edge next. At least that's what it looks like he's setting up. He has his Triforce on the other end. we have the standard going for the Phantom Dancer. Not quite there yet. But both ADs actually pretty even so far in gold. As we look here, yeah, basically 100 gold apart. And
Malphite's doing a great job, like just trying to zone out that. And Shirelia's getting popped.
ooh.
Malphite ulti catching Griffle.
That was a
Griffle
great ult. That was
right
amazing.
here.
This is exactly what they need to do.
Griffle going down here.
Red team pretty much has nothing left at all for any sort of team fight. And I think blue team's going to do work here. I mean, this is their time to push for their advantage. They've taken down the enemy AD carries down for another 30 seconds. They can push in here. They can take turrets. They can do whatever they want. And actually, look at here, Malphite just unrelenting at GG Ice. Vertabreaker, he gets that little bit of advantage, and he's just all over everybody.
Malphite just so tanky. And it
Blue
looks
team
like
a little bit separated here. It looks like they're not quite focused on what they want to do yet, but they should push in and get some objectives here soon. Looks like they might just back off out of this.
Yeah, probably
Come
not
down
the
here,
best
take
idea.
blue, take dragon, maybe
just
take
play
another turret
conservative.
that's open.
Very good play. Like you're half your team's at half health. They're spawning. Like, let's not try to push these towers in. We already have our advantage. Let's take another tower. Let's counter their jungle.
Yeah, let's get more ahead.
Yep. Let's just play conservative. We have the ball is in our court. We have strong initiation, so we can kind of call when team fights are. Like those last two team fights, Malphite ulti, Shyvana just being a boss and running up there, like all of that. They're really in control here. Pato, if you were the red team, or purple team, I guess, what would you do to salvage this game?
What would I do to salvage this game? Well, first, I think I would definitely be looking at least at this stage with my full team up and the lanes pushing out. I might have tried to pull something fancy with like some sort of Baron player rush in there. But I think for the most part, at this point, what you want to do is you want to ward up your jungle, get in oracles, make sure that you don't lose all your vision, which is what Vertabreaker is doing for his team to get the full advantage and try to snowball his comp. And so what they need to do is they need to ward up and just try to pick their spot and keep Griffle safe, because the key is, Griffle's been picked off so many times. That's led to the collapse of most of their team fights. So they just need to tell Griffle just like stay the heck away, stay like a screen away from us, even
Exactly.
Like do whatever you can, poke, but just stay as far away as possible, so you don't get picked off. Yeah.
On Kunev, on Leona, and then come back, because at this point it looks like I feel like Griffle is really aggressive, and he's 4-6 right now. I mean, like I don't like to judge people on score, but I feel like a lot of those deaths.
Double oracles.
Double oracles?
Double the trouble.
Yeah, that's just no vision at all.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a tough. This is the quicksand kind of scenario going on right here. You're kind of struggling. You're slowly losing turrets. You're trying to get one good team fight underneath a turret at this point. But the initiation and tankiness from the blue team leads me to believe that they'll still be able to push in here and do a pretty good job against this red team. Looks like GG Ice just off here to the side. He wants to come in at an angle where they can't actually see him. You can see he actually knows the vision absolutely correctly right there to stay out of vision so that they don't know he is there. The problem is, though, mid lane's pushing in, Cho'Gath's going back. If blue team senses any of this, they could pressure in, but they have full ward control over the Baron, and they're probably going to be able to pick this up at will if they want to.
I would be terrified. This is the part in my team, in my games, where it's like 30 minutes in, they have a lead, like we're not going to win team fights, and we don't have vision of Baron. See, and pings go down like, guys, I think they're doing it. You think they're doing it? I think they're doing it.
But here's the other problem, is getting caught in rotation if you're going to Baron. Like, he should rupture this just like straight up, like, yeah. But this is where you want the cooldowns blown, though. Shorter Ace jumping in, dealing the AoE damage, followed up by Malphite. This is going to be closed out. Griffle, again, already being focused to crazy, and Vertabreaker just all over him. Vertabreaker is just smothering Griffle. There is no room to breathe. The Kunev hugs the wall. It's like, am I far enough away? I'm sorry, Kunev, you cannot run further up on the map to get away from your opponents. And it's just not going to happen at this point. Blue team going to be able to take this down and clear this out. They should be able to take the second turret. Another inhib.
Oh, this is very, very, very bad for the red team. There's that statistic that's like floating around that I like to throw out in games where it's like if you lose 2 inhibitors, you have a 70% chance of losing. I mean, like,
I think it probably bears true, because honestly, when I think about when I think about games, a lot of teams don't know how to play from behind. But a lot of teams know how to play from ahead. So whenever you're the team that has 2 inhibitors, you know how to push a lane. It's really simple at that point. Before that, keeping all your lanes pushed, a lot of teams don't know how to manage rotating and clearing and keeping their lanes pushed and still keep their own push up, and how that mechanic works to close out a game. So I think whenever you have 2 inhibs and you have 2 lanes auto pushing for you, it's really easy for your team to be like, okay, we know exactly what to do. We know that they're tied into their base because of this, and you can go from there. So I would have to say that's probably a dead-on statistic. I believe that.
So I also like how you have you have your crystal ball coming out here.
Yeah.
Because you're saying earlier, man, if I were playing, I'd like to push up an inhibitor, and I have noticed that no attempts for Baron have been made. Blue team's you know what, we are strong. We don't need to do anything. Red team's we need to do this. We need to come back. And I feel like this desperation Baron is going to come up. But Malphite with Oracle is just way tanky. Nearly 200 in each resistances.
Yeah. He's a terror, and what he's done, and this is actually, we were talking about how Malphite came back into play, and one of the reasons he came back was because we saw so many double AD comps, heavy AD comps, double AP kind of faded out, and we saw these AD comps come in, but Malphite is all about anti-AD. If you think about it, Gragas reduces attack speed. Malphite reduces attack speed. Griffle, lucky for him, Corki doesn't rely entirely on attack speed, so he's okay. But it's still as an AD carry, it's really how do you want me to do damage? They've had to go in their base. Now Baron is going to go down. This is as safe as it gets. You got full vision of the enemy team, and this is when you take Baron. And there's no
way. And Baron does go down. And this is surely a win for
this
team.
should be a wrap for the blue team. And actually, big congrats to their team. And I would have to say, if I was going over, because we're going to go over them, we're going to ask them, who their MVP and stuff like that was. I have to say that it's going to be Vertabreaker, because based on last game and this game, he just dominates team fights and just dominates play. He's been all
exactly
over Griffle. Yeah. He is a stud and a half, and I know for future online judges that's what I want to be. And there you go, Vertabreaker in all over him. Wallenega actually getting blown away from the enemy team. Kunev trying to dive in there, was maybe going to get a support after all, but oh wow, Wallenega picking up
flashing
the AD carry.
Does survive,
Barrel! Oh, good
juke.
Good juke. But it's not going to be enough. They're going to lose their turret.
And this is surely
Akira coming out there trying to make a stand for his team. But it's not going to happen. Wallenega, sorry, buddy. No quitting him. No quitting him. I like the no quit. But at the same time, it's not going to matter in the end. Wallenega's still surviving, though. He's playing well. And there you have it. Congrats to Team Vertabreaker taking the finals of Judgment Pool 2. Much deserved. After that semifinals game, I think they were clearly my favorite to win. But congrats to the other team, because they actually, Kunev and that crew, GG Ice, Griffle, love to see them. Constant awesome professionals and great community members for us. And obviously the new people, Kira, hopping in here.